I asked my subscribers what game they wanted to see me platinum next. The winner of the poll ended up being Borderlands. My original goal was to try and platinum all of the Borderland games before the movie comes out early August. So if that's something you would like to see me try and accomplish, please leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to give it a shot. Borderlands is a story-based first-person shooter with RPG elements sprinkled in. It was released in 2009 on the Xbox 360, PS3, and the PC. We will be playing the 2019 re-released Game of the Year edition on the PS4 just because the PS3 version has some screen tearing issues and other glitches that were worked out in the newer one. PSN Profiles gives this game a 4 out of 10 difficulty, taking roughly 50 hours to complete, needing 2 playthroughs to finish. Borderlands is easily one of my favorite series of games of all time, so I was really looking forward to this playthrough. I couldn't even guess how many hours I spent playing this on my 360 growing up. Borderlands is probably top 5 favorite games of all time. We start the game off on a bus, not to be confused with the Bang Bus, where we are introduced to all the characters and get to pick which one we want to be. I decided for this playthrough that I would back women empowerment and go with Siren. I will eventually have to play the other 3 characters to get a trophy for getting 15 kills with each of their special abilities, but they are only partial playthroughs that shouldn't take very long, so more on that later. After picking our character, we start to hallucinate and have some visions of a lady telling us to get off the bus and that she's going to guide us to try and find the hidden vault on Pandora. After listening to the random voices in my head like I'm a crack addict on a public bus, I jumped off and I'm met by our new little robot friend, Claptrap. He will help us throughout the story and be our guide through certain points. Claptrap takes me through the map where I immediately have to defend my new friend's honor and demonstrate my value to him, the first step of the Dennis system. After killing off all the bandits in the surrounding area, Claptrap takes me into what looks like an abandoned town where I meet Dr. Zed. Here I completed my first mission of the game after helping open back up the buildings in the surrounding area that are now clear from bandits. I started doing several more tasks for Dr. Zed like I'm his little bitch. He had me kill off some feral looking skags and grab a fuse for his medical vending machine. After completing 5 of these missions, I end up getting my first trophy to pop for completing 5 missions in the arid Badlands. Now that I've got my first trophy for this game, there is no turning back, so I must complete it and get the platinum. Following that trophy, I immediately ran up on a new NPC who was so intimidated by my mere presence that he upped the shotgun like he was going to Alt F4 me. Turns out he said he was just joking and trying to scare me. He gave me some more missions to complete around the area that were pretty simple, but eventually made me travel to a new part of Pandora. In order to do this, I had to blow up a barricade like I was Thermite in R6. This took me to Skag Gully, which got me my second trophy to pop. Doing all of these missions were earning me a lot of early XP, which was allowing me to level up pretty quickly. The guide I read before playing said that you want to try and complete as many of the side missions before completing the game so that you would be as high of a level as possible after beating it, and it's less of a grind to level 50. Having said that, shortly after entering Skag Gully and digging up the grave of Smitty Werben Jaegerman Jensen,
He was #1.
I was able to kill off a couple more Skags and got to level 5, which popped my 3rd trophy, Ding Newbie. Getting level 5 unlocked the ability for me to use skill points. The first one you unlock is your special ability. Like I said earlier, there is a trophy for getting 15 kills with each of the other characters' special ability. Since Siren's is more of a passive ability, I only needed 1 kill with hers. Who says women have it harder? After spending my upgrade point and heading further into the map, I eventually ran into this super horny freak with pointy nipples and apparently 3 balls. He was on my hit list that TK Baja gave me earlier. He was every apartment building's worst nightmare because he sicked his 2 mutated pit bull looking dogs on me, which I quickly had to drop like a bad habit. After putting down his 2 dogs, I was able to focus on 9 toes and easily finish him off, no diddy, and leveled up once again. TK Baja must have been impressed with me doing that because he asked me to do something he clearly couldn't do, and that was go and get his leg back. He reminds me of this old lady that I met out front of a Buffalo Bills game who had no legs and was trying to sell my friend and I weed before we went in. That has no relevance to anything other than they are missing one, if not both of their legs. Anyways, I warped back to Skag Gully and met up with the big skag that somehow had TK's leg. He was named Scar like it was straight out of The Lion King. I was able to land quite a few critical hits on him, so it made the fight pretty easy. Following me game-ending Scar and all his homies, I was finishing up another mission on my way back to TK where I ended up getting my next trophy for killing an enemy with Siren's special ability. Once I made it back to TK and turned in the mission, he gave me a new one which unlocked the ability to use the catch-a-ride system in the game. This system allows me to spawn in vehicles at will for free across the map. Unfortunately, this first one is broken, and I needed to go and find the gang responsible for this. I was slightly underleveled for this fight, so it took a little bit to kill some of them, and ate through quite a bit of ammo. But during this fight, I ended up earning level 10 and getting my 5th trophy to pop. Now that I was a little bit higher level, it made the fight a little easier and I was able to kill off Bonehead and get the part that I needed to fix the catch-a-ride and spawn in a vehicle. I immediately took it off the biggest jump on the map, Dukes of Hazzard style. I somehow got distracted and spent about 30 minutes doing DLC content because I used the fast travel and went to Dr. Ned's Island before I had the fast travel ability unlocked. I knew it didn't look familiar from what I remembered playing growing up. I eventually figured out what I was doing wasn't really getting me any progress towards completing the main story, so I made my way back to the arid Badlands and started working on some more story missions for Dr. Zed. The first mission he had me do was roadkill 10 enemies. This just got me under halfway to the trophy for running over 25 enemies across Pandora. When turning in some more of the missions that I completed, I met Shep Sanders, no relation to Deion Sanders. He wanted me to try and find the mine gate key that leads to Sledge's safe house. I made my way over to the arid hills and shot my way through some waves of enemies until I made it to the top of the base, which had access to Sledge's safe house. I quickly warped over to it and got my 6th trophy for discovering Sledge's safe house. Immediately on the inside, I was met by an enemy who was once again higher level than me and was just giving me the absolute business. I was stuck at the opening of this building because whatever I did to him, it didn't seem to have any effect on his health whatsoever. After probably 5 to 6 minutes of shooting this guy and running away to go buy more ammo and then come back and shoot him some more to lower his health, he ended up killing me when I had him down to a sliver. I spawned back in, and instead of running away and leveling up, I instantly ran it back with him and wanted my revenge. Sadly, he just kicked my ass again. Both times I had him down to a sliver of health and he just said, nope, try again. Eventually, I just sat back and sniped him down to the point where I could just run up and pistol him to death, and finally made my way past his big ass. The rest of the building was fairly easy to clear out after that. On my way through the rest of the building, I ran into my first claptrap who needed help. There are 12 of these scattered across Pandora. If we help them up and repair them, they gave us an upgrade which will expand our backpack and allow us to carry more items. I will need to collect all 12 to get the trophy for it. Shortly after getting Claptrap back online, I made my way into the next room where I encountered another boss fight. This time, it was against the average LA gymfluencer, aka Roid Rage Psycho. During this fight, I accidentally got my next trophy for killing 25 enemies with an explosive weapon when I was trying to shoot the boss with a rocket launcher. This fight was going pretty smoothly, even though I was slightly underleveled, until I once again got him down to a sliver of health when he dropped me to a knee and I had one last chance to kill him before I died. I ended up shooting him with my pistol, which killed him and leveled me up in the process, bringing me back to full health immediately. Just like I drew it up, honestly. Now that I killed that dumbass, I was able to get the mine gate key, which is needed to get access to Sledge. With the key in hand, I was able to make my way over to the gate and open it up, making my way to the headstone mine, which unlocked me my 9th trophy. I clearly didn't learn my lesson from earlier and kept going forward with the main story missions, even though I was underleveled. I quickly learned how stupid of a mistake this was because I spent probably 20 or so minutes just dying over and over again to the raiders at the start of the map. After I eventually cleared out the first part, I made my way to the next section of the mine, where I once again ran into more higher level enemies than me, who would drop me right away. I looked at the mission list after dying and realized what I was trying to do was labeled as tough, so I decided I would circle back to this and complete some side missions to level up in the meantime. I left the mine right away and warped back to the arid Badlands and decided to sell off some weapons at the vendor. I ended up getting my 10th trophy to pop for selling 50 guns to any shop. You're constantly cycling through different kinds of weapons as you play this game. You'll find newer, more powerful guns with possible elemental effects on them. Borderlands is one of the first true, real looter shooters I can ever remember playing, but I'm sure someone will let me know the real start down in the comments below. As I was completing more side missions and helping any claptrap I saw along the way, I was able to level up a couple more times. This should make the trip back to the mine a little more balanced this time. Before, it was like watching the Packers beat up on the Bears, that's how bad it was. When I was doing these missions, I must have picked up or got an elemental artifact as an award for completing a mission. I was cleaning out my inventory and ended up applying this to my character, which got me my next trophy to pop. I kept running through side missions to stack more XP and level up as much as possible. A couple of the missions I had to do included me taking on waves of skags in a cage, gladiator style. Once I finished that, I had to go kill two bigger skags named Mo and Marley. I put them down faster than two dogs behind a Chinese buffet. After completing all the missions the bounty board had to offer, it got me to almost level 19, which is more than high enough to try and go back and get even on the bums in the mine. Being a higher level and feeling more confident, I made my way back to the mine and took out some stress on the now under-leveled bandits and made them feel the same pain I felt earlier. This time around was so much easier. I don't know where I picked it up, but I acquired a revolver that will make this playthrough 100 times easier. It had a really high damage output, along with the chance to cause explosive damage, which would take out enemies in one shot at times. If not one, then there was a good chance the second one would finish him off. With this new revolver in hand, I was able to make my way through the mine pretty quickly and easily, and was able to pull up on Sledge. I learned that we aren't friends, so I made it my goal to make sure that he would regret that mistake. I used my revolver and quickly took care of his sidekicks and then focused on him and was able to kill him pretty easily as well. Doing so would earn me my 12th trophy for killing Sledge. When turning in the mission to collect my reward from Dr. Zed, he gave me my first class mod. These are perks that will help each class differently, and each mod has different stats that will buff your player accordingly. Unlocking and equipping this first class mod got me the next trophy to pop.
Beat the hell out of Sledge? You're making a name for yourself in these parts. I already put in...
Now that I had just finished another boss fight, I was trying to complete some more side missions to level up as much as possible, so that when I encounter the next boss, it would just go as smoothly as the last one. When trying to grab a couple boxes of cigars, I ended up killing enough bandits and bruisers that I would level up to level 20 and get my 14th trophy to pop. I grabbed a couple more missions from Dr. Zed and the bounty board and was going about finishing them up. The last one I had to do required me to install some fuses back at the mine we just visited. Once I installed all three, I ran up to the top and blew up the oil pipeline like I was the United States government trying to claim it for their own. After blowing it up and making my way back to claim the reward for the mission, I ended up getting my next trophy for completing all missions in the arid Badlands. At this point, I was just running around completing side missions again, when right away I got another trophy to pop for killing 25 enemies with fire weapons when I was swarmed by a bunch of birds.
I'll send an echo again soon. All my love.
Shortly after that trophy popped, I switched my fire weapon out for a shock weapon. And within probably 5 minutes of the last trophy, I got my 17th trophy to pop for killing 25 enemies with a shock weapon. I was really starting to fly through the side missions and unlock trophy one after another at this point. This game does a pretty good job of not making you wait hours in between trophies and always giving you something fairly simple to work towards to unlock your next trophy right away. As I was trying to continue to level up and complete missions, I unlocked a trophy called 12 Days of Pandora. Normally this is something I would have to focus on to try and complete to make sure I get all of the tasks completed, but I achieved it naturally somehow. This trophy required me to do all of these things on the list in order to achieve it. Once I completed the last critical hit kill needed, the trophy popped. The next mission I got given to me was by a guy named Lucky. Lucky was able to finally help me get the fast travel system online, which will save me a lot of time running around the map, not having to drive from one place to another all the time. After I flipped the breakers and turned the power back on, I finally had the fast travel system back online and usable again. Lucky's next mission he asked of me was to go out and kill all the big ass mutated bugs in the area. I hopped in the whip and squashed them like I was doing 80 on the highway and was just collecting them all over my windshield. While running over these bugs, I actually got my 19th trophy for running over 25 enemies. The next big mission I had was to go and kill this huge Skagzilla that has been terrorizing the area. I ran up on what looked like a bandit block party. While they were having a barbecue, I just gunned them all down and stole their meat they were cooking up. I took it over to the Skagzilla cave, where he came out to the smell of fresh meat, only to run into the Skag Slayer himself, or I guess herself in this case. The fight took a little bit as I wasn't able to do much damage to him with my current weapon setup. After my practice with the last Doom game and running around in circles shooting bosses, I was eventually able to kill him and get a bunch of new loot. Nothing that would replace my boom cannon of a revolver yet though. Right after that boss fight, I decided to continue with the main mission, which was also another boss fight, this time in a vehicle. I jumped into an arena with my car to what reminded me of something straight out of Mad Max. After taking out a couple of the smaller sidekick type vehicles, I was able to focus in on Mad Mel themselves. I killed them, but in doing so blew myself up. Luckily, there was one last car left, which I was able to shoot with my revolver, which revived me, allowing me to finish the mission. Once I was done talking to Claptrap, it unlocked the next part of Pandora, New Haven. This is the part of the map that is most familiar to me when looking back on my time playing the game growing up. I don't know what it is about these missions, but they are engraved to my memory bank. Now that I have a new area unlocked, it meant I had a bunch of new missions to complete to help me level up and earn even more XP. Right away, I accepted as many missions as possible and started working on them. I was collecting journals when I ran across this big-ass flying bug that reminded me of a cracked out dragonfly. I popped off several shots with my revolver, which killed it and sent it crashing to the ground. In killing this thing, it got me my next trophy for getting level 10 of any weapon type. While finishing up some more side missions, I was completing the last of the journal parts and got my 21st trophy to pop for getting 25 kills with a caustic weapon. After grabbing that last journal part and doing a couple other side missions, I made my way back to New Haven to try and collect on the rewards for completing the missions. When I turned them in at the bounty board, I got my 22nd trophy for completing 5 missions in the Rust Commons. Following turning in these missions, it unlocked a couple more side missions in the area for me to complete, so I immediately did them. The first one had me running through a cave like I was looking for Saddam Hussein. When I made it to the end, I ran into this castle looking like structure with a drawbridge in the front. Once the door was lowered, out ran this little tiny looking fella called King Wee Wee. This guy was super small, but he sure put up a fight. It took a little while to kill him, but once I didn't really get anything to show for it. Even my character thought it was a pointless fight and said it was barely worth it. With a bunch of side missions completed and my level just getting higher and higher, I figured it was time to really start focusing on the story of this game and getting towards the end game. After all, if I wanted to complete all of the Borderlands series before early August, I better get a move on. This mission had me making my way to meet Crazy Earl. To do so, I had to travel to the scrapyard, which would unlock me my next trophy for discovering said scrapyard. Earl said he would only help me if I were to help him out. Sort of a I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine sort of deal, which I thought was more than fair. The first thing Earl had me do was clear out the bandit camps in the area that have been causing complete havoc around him and stealing all his stuff. So after going up and evicting the squatters like I wish the police would do, I blew up their base and reported back to Earl where he had another mission for me. This time, he must have had a long week of work because he wanted me to go out and collect a bunch of bottles of booze for him. After killing several bandits and grabbing their bottles, I was able to return to Earl and give him all the juice he was looking for. After helping out Earl, he finally says he will give me the key to the vault that I've been looking for. Except, he tells me that some guy named Crom stole it for him, and that if I want it, I'll have to go get it from him myself. So that's exactly what the hell I was gonna do. I now had Crom's Canyon unlocked, so I transported over there and got my very next trophy to pop. Once I was in Crom's Canyon, I made my way up through all the bandits fairly easily since I was a couple levels ahead of them. I easily made my way up to the top where I met Crom for the first and last time. Once at the top, I just hyper-focused on Crom and gave him the blast cannon while he sat on the turret and couldn't even shoot me. After killing him, I got my 25th trophy to pop for killing Crom. I opened up the chest at the top of the base and grabbed the vault key piece needed. Following killing Crom and completing a couple more side missions, I was clearing out my inventory trying to make space for newer loot I find across the map. When bulk selling my stuff, I ended up surpassing the 1 million mark earned and got my next trophy to pop for making $1 million in game. While doing this, I must have got a bunch of XP because I ended up getting another trophy to pop for reaching level 30. Since I haven't really talked about the story, I'll expand on the lore a little bit more. There have been rumors for hundreds of years of a secret hidden alien vault that can only be opened once every 200 years. And now that I have this first vault key piece, it will start to make the ones close to me go crazy and think they can do this on their own, meaning people will try to backstab me and undermine what we have done together to take the glory for themselves. I ended up having to go back to a city I had previously cleared out for a friend of mine named Taylor Cobb because he decided to take it over for himself and run Janestown with his new gang. Once I got there, I laid down the law and took everyone out like I was Dog the Bounty Hunter. After killing Taylor for backstabbing me and trying to take over the city we had just cleared bandits out from, it unlocked the travel point to the Trash Coast. This would unlock me my 28th trophy for discovering the Trash Coast. I made my way through the map where I stumbled upon this big beast that looks like something I know some of you have taken down off of Tinder. I mean, just look at this thing's face. This is probably one of the easier boss fights I've done in recent memory across any game. I don't know if it was the revolver I was using or what, but I was able to take this thing down without taking much damage. Once I was able to kill it, I got a trophy to pop for destroying the Rack Hive. Now, I don't know if I'm just a magnet for glitches or if I'm just a complete dumbass, but somehow after killing this boss, I got stuck inside of it. I went to go collect the loot along with the vault key piece needed it dropped, and when I walked inside of the boss's body, I couldn't move around at all. I was stuck and having flashbacks to Doom where I got stuck inside of an object and couldn't move. Except this time, I couldn't get unstuck, so I had to reload the game and make my way back through the map so I could go and collect the loot I earned. With now 2 out of the 3 vault pieces collected, all I needed to do was go and grab the last one, and I will be able to unlock the vault and see what's inside. The last piece was holed up inside of the salt flats in a building called Thor, run by a guy named Baron Flint. In order to infiltrate the building, I had to blow up 4 of his patrol cars, then make my way through several layers of enemies until I could finally make my way into the structure. After killing everyone off and making my way up to the top, I meet Baron Flynn, who must have glaucoma or back pain because it's medicinal, don't worry. Baron has 2 bodyguards named Hans and Franz who must share a brain, but each of them has one half of it. I had to kill off these big freaks before I could make my way up to Baron. After I burnt both of them up and dropped them to the floor, I ran up on Baron and did the same thing to him. I was roasting him like a marshmallow when I fell off and had to run back up to him. I just finished him off, again no Diddy, with the trusty revolver and got my 30th trophy for killing Baron Flynn. When I go to turn in the mission, I found out the vault key had been stolen from me by Tanis, someone who I've been working with all along, so I have to try and hunt her down to get it back. I finally make it to the building she is in, where I had to kill off several more rooms of enemies. This was pretty easy because they were all lower level than me, and the revolver I got earlier in the game is still blasting people in 2 to 3 shots fairly easily. I eventually find Tanis, but turns out she was working with someone else and that she was locked in a jail cell getting the karma she deserves. Tanis tells me if I get the communication system back online, she will help me find their location so I can go and stop them from opening the vault. I go to turn the system on, but it doesn't work, so I need to activate 3 transmitter consoles. To do so, I had to travel to the Crimson Lance Enclave. Discovering this place gets my next trophy to pop. Now that the system was back online, I had to make my way to find the one responsible for this, Commandant Steele. I finally made my way through the rest of the map and traveled to where she is at, a location called the Iridian Promontory. Once I discovered this place, I got my 32nd trophy to pop. Once here, it meant I was close to Steele and I could try and stop her from opening the vault. I had to fight my way through several tough enemies. Even though I was a couple levels higher than some of them, they still ate bullets and wouldn't die. I tried fire, shock, and explosive, and it didn't seem to do much damage. The only thing that worked was hitting their tiny off-centered head that would almost instantly kill them. But it was so hard to aim for that anytime I hit it, it was almost because of sheer luck and not player skill, to be honest. Eventually I make it all the way through to find Steel and try to stop her from opening the vault. Unfortunately, we were too late and she opened it anyways. Joke's on her though, because she didn't feel her spidey senses tingling and took a tentacle to the backside like she was in a video made out of Japan. Out of the vault came the Vault Destroyer. If we want to survive and see what the vault has to offer, then we will need to kill this thing. I started off by shooting it and wasn't getting much progress, so I decided to rush it and throw some grenade. This did a significant amount of damage, taking it almost to below half health. After a couple of minutes of hiding behind pillars and chopping away at its health, I was finally able to kill it and get my next trophy to pop for killing the Vault Destroyer. Now with the game complete, I had just a little over 30 of the 50 trophies obtained. I needed several coming from multiplayer and other random trophies still. The first one I went for was where I needed to kill an enemy by jumping on his head. Anytime you landed on an enemy's head, you would do a small amount of damage, so I just lowered him to a sliver of health and jumped on him over and over again like I was Mario until I got the trophy to pop, My Brother's an Italian. After that, I finished up what last couple of side missions I had around the map and unlocked my next trophy for completing all missions in New Haven. After getting that last trophy, I decided to call it a night and go to bed. The next day, I convinced my girlfriend to buy the game and play it with me because it was on sale and she also had a free gift card on the PSN store. So we decided to go for some of the 5 multiplayer trophies in the game. I decided to be efficient and also start a new character and go for the 15 kills with their skill while I was at it to try and save time. I picked Soldier and she picked Siren and we loaded into a new game. It didn't take long before I was just standing there and baiting her before she blew up and I got my next trophy to pop for reviving a teammate.
I feel better already.
I was waiting for that to happen. While completing some missions together, we came across the part of the map where we can enter the arena and battle each other one-on-one. It wasn't ever going to be a fair matchup, so I just let her get the trophy first, and then I got the trophy on her for winning in an arena match. I tried to do this legit earlier, but I could never find anyone to play against in there, so I just took the trophy however I could get it at this point. Why did you just die? Once we exited the arena, we hopped right into a duel and got the trophies for winning a duel against another player and winning a duel while taking no damage. All right, now we gotta do this to get the trophy, I think. All right, wanna do that again?
You think you got what it takes?
After I hit level 5 and unlocked my special ability, I just spammed it every chance I could get so that I could get the 15 kills as quickly as possible. Doing this got me to get the trophy to pop for getting 15 kills with Soldier's action pretty quickly. Shortly after that, I was running around when my girlfriend turned in a mission and got us a trophy for completing 15 missions in co-op. The thing on your map, you're right next to it. There, I got a trophy. Once doing this, I backed out and loaded in with a new level 1 character to try and work on their 15 kills while she played with her character. I chose Berserker and it was a mistake because I was very under-leveled and she didn't have good enough loot to kill stuff on her own. This proved to be a mistake because both of us were getting annoyed and started to get mad because neither of us could do anything and we both just kept dying. I decided to just kill a bunch of smaller level mobs to level up to level 5 and get my special ability unlocked right away, which I used every second it was available and just smashed anyone I saw to get my 40-second trophy to pop for getting 15 kills with Berserker's action. After finally getting that done, we both decided to just have me hop back on my main character so that I could get the last online trophy before we come back and play this together at a later date. I helped blow through a couple missions with my over-leveled character until we reached Sledge, where I tried to let her do her thing, but she couldn't do enough damage and kept dying, so I just killed him and got the trophy to pop for killing a boss with an online player.
Mercy,
Alright, well. The only other online trophy I had at this point was to join a lobby with 2 other players. I figure I would have trouble with this because nobody joined our session that whole time we were playing online together. I backed out and searched one time for gits and shiggles and found a lobby with 2 players and joined immediately so I could get the trophy to pop for playing with 2 players at once. Oh, they already had another person in here. After getting that, I backed out right away so I didn't interrupt them at all. With all the online trophies finished, I just needed to get a couple more miscellaneous trophies completed and then grind to level 50. I first finished up with the last remaining upgrade for my storage space so that I will finally have all 42 backpack slots available. I'm not sure if it was bugged out and missing in my earlier playthrough, but I went back through every map and found it right away and got the 45th trophy to pop. Immediately after that, I got the trophy. I'm on a boat, for you guessed it, getting on a hidden boat on one of the maps. The only other random trophy I had at this point was to set the record for the fastest time on a racetrack in the Doll Headlands. After a quick watch of a YouTube video, I was able to find out what route I needed to take and was able to get the trophy to pop after just one try. The last trophy I needed outside of leveling up was to get 15 kills with the Hunter skill. I just played through several missions very fast until I unlocked my Bloodwing and just spammed that ability like I did with the others until I got 15 kills and my 48th trophy to pop. Now all that I had left to do was to get to level 50. After doing all of this, I was still only at level 38, so I had quite the grind ahead of me. I started off by doing some of the Dr. Ned DLC because it had some of the highest XP available. When turning in some of the missions, I leveled myself up to 40 and got my 49th trophy for reaching level 40. After doing those and completing most of the island, I decided to try and start a second playthrough because there were not many options available for higher XP missions anymore. After like 5 minutes, I noticed I wasn't getting much XP, so I was impatient and switched back over to DLC again and did Claptrap missions along with Moxie missions. I started to get burnt out because there was no fast travel in the DLC, and I would have to drive from one side of the map to the other just to turn in missions. I said screw this and went back to my second playthrough and decided I was just going to finish it out until level 50, no matter how boring the grind was. I won't bore you with the same missions that I just explained to you earlier in the video, so after getting about 90% of the way through the story, I finally had completed enough missions to get level 50 and pop my 50th trophy, along with popping the platinum.
But you can do this. You will prevail.
Is there no end to my power?
Hello! There are new missions available at the middle of nowhere bounty board.
Overall, this game brought back so many great memories, and I really enjoyed playing through it. Shout out to everybody that voted for this option on the poll. I really appreciate it. If we're going to rate this game like the last couple of games we've played, I would probably have to give it 92 claptraps out of 100. I'm really looking forward to playing the rest of this series if that's something you guys would like to see, so please let me know down in the comments below. Also, please let me know down in the comments below if you have any other games you would like to see me try, or if you have any other ideas for anything else you'd like to see on this channel. And as always, if you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on videos in the future.
I just bought the X and then another one. I just took a tab, I'm talking to the sun. I just bought the beat, now I can't go to sleep. I just fucked your bitch while my bitch Jodeci. I just took an X and then another one.